welcome to episode 15 of Find Your Success. Today we're hanging out outside for the first time, which that's pretty cool, with Michelle and Mike from Wow Wow Lemonade Stand.
Yep.
Thanks for letting us come hang out with you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Happy to be here, and I've known of your business for a long time. And Michelle,
Yes.
we are new friends.
Yes, sorta.
Sort of. Mike, I've known you for a little while now.
Yeah.
And
We feel like we've known each other since we see each other on social media. So.
social media helps.
Yeah.
Social media does help. That's part of the fun of doing podcasts like this with the video and the networking that comes out of fun stuff like this.
Yep.
But again, I'm happy to get to know you two even better and to show off your business a little bit. I know you've already been crushing it.
Thank you.
Just like
you.
you crush those those lemons every day.
That's how you get those
that-
muscles.
Yeah, is that a dad
That's
joke?
why we
Does
say,
that
we say
qualify?
body by Wow Wow.
Body by Wow Wow. Wow. You might be onto something there, honestly. We should talk about that after.
Yeah.
Got a funny story.
Might be our next business
yeah.
venture, you know.
Well, I actually have a friend of mine who was in the fitness industry for a very long time. Long story short, he started doing a thing at Einstein Bagels, a location there, and they ended up having an Instagram account that wasn't necessarily the gym account, but it's called Body by Bagels.
Oh,
And
nice.
it became a huge marketing tool for them, surprisingly.
Let me put that in my.
No, we'll talk about that. So when you said Body by Wow Wow, I was like,
That's funny.
you are onto something. I've heard of something like that before.
That's so funny.
Well, to get things rolling, we kind of just want to talk about who you are and where you're from, and this is also fun having a married couple on the show. Yeah,
True.
I've not had that. We've never had 3 guests at once before.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a lot of firsts for your 15th episode.
Yeah, it's like man. whew.
Oh, yay.
Oh, the pressure's not on
Yeah,
us
I'm like,
now.
where do I start? Who do I ask first? Michelle.
Oh, sure.
Where are you from?
So I am native New Mexican, born and raised here in New Mexico. And so is my husband. So we're both from here.
What part specifically?
Albuquerque. We
Albuquerque?
both went to the same high school.
What high school?
Del Norte High School.
Really?
Graduated from Del Norte.
Night
Yep.
Pride.
Nights? Nights? Are there nights?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nights.
yeah, nights. So yeah, we both went to Del Norte, and we didn't quite know each other in high school, but we did meet shortly after. So we've been married for a little over 20 years, and now we're business partners for 5.
Dang.
November will be 6.
Almost
yeah.
6.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, the time goes by fast when you're having fun.
It really
Yeah.
does. It really, really, really does. 20 years, it really did go by in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, 2020 almost feels like it doesn't count. 2021, those are kind of like blurs.
That actually
And
is a
everybody,
bummer.
so it feels like 6 years kind of feels like 3 now.
That's sad.
Yeah,
It is. That's a good point. I feel the same way, actually. But congratulations. It's
Yeah.
very cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
Congratulations on your marriage. Really.
Thank
Thank you very
That's
much.
its own feat, especially in society where staying together isn't as popular nowadays.
Right.
Sure.
Marriage doesn't necessarily mean what it used to mean, in my opinion. So
Absolutely.
I
Yep.
respect that, and then I respect the fact that you two are also business partners.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
well, I guess we answered both questions for where you're from.
Yep.
But what led up to you two becoming business partners? I'm sure this is an interesting story.
Loaded.
Now, were you two
question?
in business
No.
before? Or what are your backgrounds?
We were not entrepreneurs before this.
We had the entrepreneur heart.
We had we had the entrepreneur heart, and we've always wanted to be business owners. We just hadn't quite had the opportunity at the time. I was running a kitchen for about 10 years, and then I'll let you explain what you were doing.
Yeah, so I was working for a company. I was in corporate. I was a regional director for a company that took me all around the country. So I did that for almost 11 years, flying from East Coast to West Coast. My primary market, though, was El Paso, Albuquerque, Phoenix, Las Vegas. So that's where I kind of hung out. And then left there to stop traveling and work locally. So I was a regional director for a local business. Left there to go work for another local business to be their sales director. And in between all of that is where we got into Wow Wow as business partners. And yeah, kind of divine intervention put us as this is the only thing we do now.
Yeah, wow.
You know
Yeah,
the
very cool.
term, right? When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? So that's essentially what
You took that very literal.
we took
Yeah, we
it
did.
very literal.
Another note.
Yeah. To the T.
Yeah. Life. Got it.
The universe did too.
Yeah.
So we were at that time, we were faced with some pretty heavy challenges. I had recently left my job to help care for my grandfather and my dad, who were both recovering for some major surgeries. So I had left the job to take care of them. My dad passed away just a few short months afterwards, very unexpectedly. About 3 months later, he got really sick with this random infection and almost died. And then about a month later, I found out I was having a baby at 36 years old, which was very unexpected. And so all of those things kind of shook our world.
Yeah, it was like
to
a
say
year and
the
a half
least.
of like the most insane, life-changing things that you could ever go through.
Yeah. So one day I'm sitting with my brand new baby and I'm on social media. And I'm looking for places where we can visit and eat out in Phoenix while he's traveling. We would visit often to the Arizona market. So I'm looking on social media and I see this page and it's this beautiful food and drinks and it's vibrant and it's cool and it's Hawaiian and I have to try it. So I'm like, let's go there. Not only is it beautiful, but it's fresh fruit, real ingredients. When I'm looking at the menu, I'm like, these are items that like I can read. Nothing phony or funky, artificial.
That's a good point.
Just real things. And so it made me feel comfortable taking my family out there to eat. Take my small son and my daughter, and we're gonna go play someplace that is beautiful and cool, but also is healthy and delicious. So after chatting for a little bit, we're like, we could bring this here. Why couldn't we bring it to New Mexico? Why not let New Mexicans enjoy this beautiful brand? So I shot off an email to the owner of that Arizona location, who is also the founder of the company, which at that time was a very small business. I think they only had a handful of stores in Arizona, Maui.
There was only 4 owners at the time.
Oahu. I think there was 4 owners at the time. So I shot him an email and we pretty much begged. We were like, hey, can we come out and chat with you and talk about bringing this brand to New Mexico, and we'll go visit you in Arizona.
Well,
So
she got left on red.
I got left on red for quite some time.
He didn't respond to her
He didn't
email.
respond, but
And so then I shot off an email. I was like, hey, my wife has contacted you a few times. We're really interested in the brand. And his response was, I'm not interested in bringing it to New Mexico, and Arizona is my hard stop. You know, I started in Hawaii. We're wildly successful in Hawaii. People have been wanting us to go everywhere. Ironically, we have a store in Japan that is doing good, but it's just branded. They're just using our logos. And then we have a store in Washington State that's not doing very good. And I have just recently kind of created a franchise, and we want to perfect the franchise before we roll it out to anywhere like New Mexico. And I just simply said, hey, we'll go meet you where you are. If you can just give us, an hour of your time, we want to just know more about the brand, know more about you. And he replied, I tell the story, and it may be true, maybe not, just the way it plays out in my head. It was like Thursday, he was like, yeah, I'll be in Scottsdale on Sunday if you want to meet. We can meet at the store in Scottsdale and we can talk there. And we have a 3.5-month-old baby, so I come home I was like, hey, we're leaving to Scottsdale on Sunday to go meet this guy. And we got in the truck and we drove straight to Scottsdale, and he was driving in from San Diego. That's where he was originally from. And we met in Scottsdale, and it was literally like 4.5, 5 hours of us crying, us laughing, us like really relating with him. His name is Todd. It would go unnoticed, or I think this is like the part where I might cry. Todd recently passed away. So he passed away it's been about a week, that he's passed away. And it was suddenly, he just got ill. They tried to help him, and it just didn't work. And Todd's beliefs, his core values, were right in line with Michelle and I. And Todd his wife Chloe, me and Michelle, we all just became friends. From that moment on, we talked with each other. We understood each other on a business level, on a personal level. The backstory behind Wow Wow, like it's very, very emotional, and there's a lot of connection to that story that me and Michelle felt. And we just became really good friends. And at the end of it, he's like, you know what, I would be honored to have you guys bring it to Albuquerque. And, you know, that's kind of where the conversation ended in Scottsdale. And, you know, paperwork later, lawyers involved later, you know, we became part of a business that we didn't know. Because when we got involved with the business, we wanted to do acai bowls. That's what we were really, really interested in doing. We almost didn't even think about the lemonade. The lemonade was like what you get when you go in to get an acai bowl. And we were like, okay, that's cool. And it took a completely different path for us, for Wow Wow, for everybody that was involved. We all kind of formed into a different path where you kind of find us today. So, yeah, it's a heavy story right now, just because it's so fresh.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's tough, but I will say it's refreshing to see how connected you two are to the founder and his family, and the brand itself, and how much passion you have.
Absolutely, it's very important for us to maintain the brand in general. His family was in Maui. They were selling at small farmers markets. That's how they started, just tents and tables selling lemonade from a little farmers market. And it became really, really popular amongst the locals. And he wanted to bring it inland. And we felt that why not bring it a little more inland, bring it to the desert, because we really felt that the spirit of aloha could be really embraced by the spirit of the Southwest. They're very, very similar. When you compare the two, you know, the things that bring us together, food.
Yeah, absolutely.
Culture, you know.
Community.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we take care of our families, our communities.
Family-oriented.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sustainability, being mindful of the environmental impact.
We're not taking...
Also supporting our local community and using real, fresh ingredients. And so that was our biggest, what's the word? That's what we really wanted to do most, was to bring something that was fresh and fun and not so serious in such a serious world, you know?
That's a great point. Yeah, people are very
so
serious, especially when any kind of business sense in general.
Yeah.
Really,
Sure.
after COVID, I mean, you can't make jokes anymore. We can have long conversations about that.
It was hard. It was really hard, especially during COVID. We opened we opened up the brand, or we started the brand here during COVID. So our intention was never to have a food truck. This was a byproduct of COVID. We intended to open up a storefront, and so we had signed a lease agreement. We had a location.
We can have a whole podcast over the lease agreement. That was crazy.
We dumped a lot of money into a storefront. We were ready to go, and then everything shut down. So
right before COVID.
Yeah, so we started, so everything started November of 2018. That's when we officially started the business. We started selling in 2019, at the beginning of 2019, at a dog show in Rio Rancho at Cabazon Park.
Tents and tables.
We had no idea what we were doing. Our first lemonade was sold to somebody that we could barely even explain to him what we were doing, because our passion was behind the acai, but we needed to build capital to get our storefront open. So the lemonade was just a no-brainer for us. So we started at our commissary, you know, and we're going to give everybody our secret recipe. It's fresh lemons, organic cane sugar, and water. That's what our lemonade is based out of. And, you know, we got to work and we just started smashing lemons and creating our lemonade. And it you know, it kind of just, it's funny because how life works sometimes, you don't realize, like, we're believers that God is in our life over everything. And it's funny to see him work sometimes, because that one event led us to another Rio Rancho event, which led us to another event, which one of my friends said, hey, there's a big yoga thing coming. It's with Yoga Zoe. Ashley is the name of the person who started Yoga Zoe. Here's her number. You want to reach out and see if you can do something with them. And Ashley, shout out to Ashley. You know, she was awesome. She actually gave us our really first break. I like to like kind of tie everything to her because we started at Yoga Zoe, which is a yoga retreat that they used to have at rail yards. And she was like, you guys can come in on load-in day. There's not going to be a lot of people. Like, it's kind of pick up your packet and leave, and we can go from there and see how you guys do. And we did very well. It was very well received. Everybody loved that it was real ingredients. Every fruit that goes into our lemonades is a real fruit. There's no syrups. There's no artificial colors, preservatives. There's nothing like that in anything we do. And they loved it. So then for probably the next year, every event we got was tied to Yoga Zoe. It was
Really?
wild. Yeah, they were like, hey, we saw you at the yoga thing, or hey, my wife goes to the yoga thing and I own this business. Can you guys come and do this for us? And it was literally like one hand was leading to the other for the next event, which all kind of came from that one chance of being at Yoga Zoe. And that's kind of how we got launched into everything.
One domino.
Yeah, it was seriously one domino, and which leads to like the next guy who was put into our lives, Gil. He owned a small burger restaurant that was on by the VA hospital. It was called Burquez Burger, and he had us randomly saw us on Instagram. I don't even remember how the connection was made. But he was like, hey, can you guys bring us some lemonades? I run this small burger shop, and that started like the craziest thing, which launched us into COVID, which was wild. So it was like one thing led to everything. You know, we can kind of tie everything back to the one thing.
Yeah.
You know,
And really, which was the community coming out and supporting us.
that's what
And
it. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, would you say that a lot of success is determined by your involvement in the community?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just in general.
It's all about building relationships, but you also need to build trust, and you've got to show up.
So this is
You've got to
probably
be consistent.
a good segue. Like, what are the principles that you two believe have made you successful up to this point, individually and as a power couple?
I would say that it's mostly consistency. You have to be consistent. You've got to show up. You have to put out a quality product. You've got to get to know your customers. And it's all, Albuquerque is big, but we're not really that big compared to, other big markets. And it's really easy to get to know your neighbors, your customers. And so for us, I think I could probably speak for both of us, but I'll let you say something too. Success for us doesn't necessarily mean, it's not based on our social life. It's not based on money. It has nothing to do with money or statue. You know what I mean? Like, it's did we deliver a quality product? Were we proud of what we delivered today? Did we put a smile on people's faces, especially during COVID, during a time where it was really rough for people?
It was hard to tell if they were smiling, to be fair.
It was.
Yeah.
It was very difficult, and we were faced with a lot of different challenges, which forced us to think kind of out of the box, too. So, did we make an impact on somebody's lives, even through a lemonade? Did we get a smile? Did we treat people with respect? Did we deliver something that we were proud of? And for us, at the end of the day, that's a successful day. Did we keep going even though it rained or a tent blew away or whatever the case may be? Like, did we continue? Did we continue to just press forward? And we've learned to do that in our own ways too, because we are very, very different in our personalities, and so we've learned a lot about each other.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm curious about that. How you two complement each other.
Well,
Yin and yang.
yeah, totally.
Yin and yang.
So I would say I would agree with 100% of what Michelle said, but the one thing that comes to mind is compassion, and Shell is loaded full of compassion. She's definitely a giver. She believes in giving back and really being a bigger part, but in the smallest way. You know, she doesn't look for the praise or the glory, but we just look for ways to kind of impact. Michelle's mom kind of shows us as an example because she adopts a family every Christmas, and multiple families, and we go around providing Christmases for families who can't have Christmases, you know, which seems like one time of the year that you're doing that, but how do we implement that into our business? So we've been able to, over the last 6 years, I did some numbers just kind of looking up, and we've donated and given back consistently over the last few years, like to so many different organizations that me and Shell feel like that helps. You know, we're actually involved in the community. We're giving back. You know, we're donating our time, sometimes our lemonade, and you know, we're just making sure that everyone that is involved with us is feels that as well. You know, we get that all the time. People love to come up just because of how nice we can all be. You know, but at the end of the day, we're serving lemonade, so how crazy is it going to get at the bus? But that's what the brightest part of going through 2020 is that when everything was shut down and nothing was available, Wow Wow was available at a park with a couple other food trucks that we would team up with, and we kind of felt like we've created that community in kind of New Mexico where you can go to a park and find a food truck and feel like it's safe. We've kind of trying to change the tide of food trucks of, you know, being roach coaches, which we hate to hear, you know, being a place you can actually take your family and go get dinner, you know, and feel like you got a quality meal, you got a quality product, you help support a really good business who really cares what they're doing. We can name a ton of food trucks in the area that we would rather eat at than restaurants.
I would appreciate if you shared a list of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That would be great.
There's such great food truck owners in Albuquerque, and I'm sure across New Mexico, and they've been very, very supportive. We all help to support each other because we are in this together.
Yeah.
We really are, and sometimes our things complement each other. You know, like barbecue and lemonade. Like that's just a match made in heaven. So.
Yeah, it is.
We've built some really, really great and strong relationships with fellow food truckers, and we really respect all of their hard work because a lot of those other food truckers they're really hustling. They are making like great food. They're in the grills. We don't have a grill, thank God.
Yeah, sweating your butts off.
In this heat, but they're really working hard, and they deserve a lot of recognition for what they do in our community too.
For sure, and how hard and how committed they are, you know, to putting out a quality product. You know, I can think of a few of our friends that have food trucks that, you know, they're super compassionate and they're not going to let anything go past their window that they wouldn't eat or feed their family.
Yeah.
And I think that goes a lot further than sometimes you feel so disconnected at a restaurant that you're just like,
it's like kind of a number, you know.
Yeah.
and we hope to change that too when you come to the bus too. We want you to feel seen. We love to have conversations with our customers, get to know them. Where are you from? What you doing today? You know, and we genuinely want to to build that relationship with them.
We joke around because we joke around because we literally worry about our regulars.
Oh,
like
yeah,
if we don't
do.
see a regular for like 3 weeks, I'm like,
yeah,
has somebody blah 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 has blah 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 come by, and then we see them walking up in the distance. We're like, oh my God, yes, we were just talking about you. Where have you been? Like, not that we want you to come and spend all your money here, but we legitimately care and have created these relationships where we're like, how's the remodel going? How's your dog doing? How's your cat doing? How are your kids? How's your grandma? You're taking care of who? How is that going? You know, how's your business going? You know, we legit care about that. It's not just lip service where, you know, it's like, oh, well, let's have this small talk and hopefully
just generate more
money.
No,
it's not about that. Like, Michelle and I generally like worry about sometimes when we don't see people.
You know, I think you guys are doing it right. I feel like a lot of people in general get that wrong, where they understand that when you put good into the world, good tends to come back to you, and people try to use that system by putting on a fake face. not actually caring about people, right? And there's nothing wrong with the scripts and things and knowing what kind of questions to ask, but not asking in a way that's genuine, in a way that where you really have a love for somebody else as the foundational piece, right? Not just for your own benefit, but to see you two loving on people genuinely. I mean, I could feel it. The fact that you're shouting out other business owners, I think is great. To see you two working together.
We grew up here. You know, this is our home, and it's important for us to care about the people in our home and to support them however that may be, because they've done that for us. Because of the support of our customers, we're able to do this full time.
Very cool.
And our daughter also works with us, and
gets
also
a load
my sister.
of dad jokes.
Yeah, she gets a load of dad jokes.
Them all.
As many dad jokes as the lemons, I'm sure.
That's true. Our 6-year-old also works for us. If you see him out and around, you'll know exactly who he is. He's the most
Better order strawberry lemonade.
You
Do
better
not
just get
order
strawberry.
anything else. we don't. We're working on his customer
Yes.
service, but if you order anything but strawberry,
His customer service skills are a little.
Cut him some slack.
But you know, hey, he's persistent and he's friendly.
he's a sales guy.
After his parents.
Yeah.
He's a sales guy for sure. He's really funny.
You know, it's funny. My really good friend Cody, he has a podcast, and he's written a business book that's been published, and him and I keep in touch quite a bit. And I have like this corporate background of like 18, 20 plus years of corporate management, so that tends to like kind of soak through me. So when you talk about like when you asked us earlier about who we are as people, I'm more of like, I've read a lot of books. I've done a lot of studies. I've taken apart of like the business front and back. But one thing that I've read and kind of understand as highly successful brands and businesses, there's 3 things that they really do focus on, and it's number 1, care. It rhymes just kind of randomly.
Even better.
But there's 3 things. It's care, wear, and prepare. Those are the 3 things that I kind of like always think about. So you got to care about your business. So sometimes people who you can feel like when you don't care about what you're doing, you're just doing it to generate money. You can feel that. And then wearing your business logo, wearing your business with pride. You're always representing yourself. You're always representing your brand. And then be prepared to talk business. So this kind of helped me in the day because I was in a different field. So when I cared about what I was doing, when I was wearing what I was doing, people were asking me about it. I was engaging with them. I was prepared to talk business with them. Maybe not there, but put it in a calendar somewhere where we can go and talk business. So I find those 3 things as being super important, because if you don't follow those 3 things, like the rest of what's the point of anything else? You know what I mean? Because you're just in it for what? Like, you know? And then you kind of see people like, oh, my business isn't good, or, you know, I'm just not as successful as some other. You kind of start judging yourself towards other things. So those are 3 things that I kind of think about all the time. And I bring up Cody because I was like, I've been so busy, but this is like kind of my philosophy I've been thinking about. And so I shot it off to him, and I was like, hey, if you want to run with this, I grant you permission. I sign off. But those are kind of 3 things that I've really thought about, you know, and you kind of look at successful business people, and that's what they're doing, you know.
Care, wear,
Prepare.
and prepare.
Yeah.
I like how simple it is, really. Especially there's a lot of information online, a lot of people giving advice, a lot of things that are much more complicated than they need to be, really. But when you get down to the roots of success, oftentimes it can be that simple, and I think we lose sight of that in general. I mean, honestly, you could probably take that, you know, into your faith, into your relationships, into your fitness.
Yeah.
Right? Like using that same simple concept, I think it's very useful.
Yeah.
And it shaves off a lot of the fluff that people like to add.
Yeah. There's a lot of fluff out there.
There's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of fluff.
Some of the books, man, I get 3/4 through it, I'm like, what are we talking about? Why are we still on this?
They're
Like,
just saying a bunch of stuff.
yeah, it's like a bunch of words. And,
Yeah.
like, and with AI now, I'm like, oh, it's even worse sometimes.
Yeah, that's in podcasts too. I feel like.
Yeah.
So in a lot of times, it's just they fill it with fluff. and it could be tricky. But I love the simplicity, and it makes sense. I mean, look at
It's simple. This is simple. I mean, it really is. It's very simple when you stick to the basics, which is just fresh fruit. I mean, people say, well, what's in your strawberry lemonade? It's literally just strawberries, lemon, sugar, and water. It's no secret. It really isn't. And technically, anybody can do it. But we take a lot of pride in what we do. We really do try to find the freshest fruit, the freshest ingredients, the most clean ingredients, because it's important to us what we put in our bodies, but it's important for us to also let our customers feel comfortable on what they're giving their kids. Now we realize with our small son how many food allergies are out now, and also allergies to dyes and artificial colors and flavors and things like that. So it's important for us to also be a resource for them where they can bring their child and not have to worry about, does it have citric acid? Does it have artificial colors or flavors?
It's important to feel good after the fact.
Absolutely.
Eating out for me, really, I usually think of, well, I'm going to eat out. It'll probably taste good, but I know I'm not going to feel better after than I did before.
Yeah.
Potentially
No,
for
absolutely.
the next day, even or 2 days, and that always is a bummer. It's kind of like when you have a couple, drinks of alcohol. You know
Right.
that you're going to pay for it for a couple days. That's just a
Yeah.
fact. So to be able to come to a place like this and not have that price to pay is
Absolutely.
is cool.
The other thing that Shell reminded me of talking about that is that probably the coolest story that I think both of us could share of being along in this journey with this business is a little boy and his mom walk up, and we sell a drink called the Blue Hawaii, and it's topped with blue topping, which is blue spirulina, which is a natural ingredient. It's actually an algae. So everybody who comes up and asks us what's in spirulina is an algae. They take the algae fish tank taste out of it, which turns it bright blue, but it leaves all the nutrients and antioxidants in that. So our Blue Hawaii is more on our healthy side of drinks, but the mom comes up and she's like, I already know what the answer is, but the blue topping on your Blue Hawaii, is there any dyes or artificial flavors in that? And I go, no, it's actually, so I go on my spiel and she's like, her eyes tear up and she looks at her son and she's all, you can have it. And he was like, what? And she's like, you can have this because it's all natural. We use an unsweetened coconut cream in there, and he had a dairy allergy, and he literally started crying. And I'm like, what's happening here? Like, what's happening? Like, this is a very emotional situation. And she said, he's 6 years old and he's never had a blue drink. He's never been able to drink it because he's highly allergic to dyes. And he's on the spectrum of autism, and he has to stay away from all the dyes and refined sugars. So knowing that you use an organic cane sugar, knowing that you don't use a dye to turn the top blue, he can have a blue. And this is going to be the first time. And as a child, he sees all his friends drinking blue drinks, and now he can have it. And me and Shell were just like,
oh my gosh! Well, you forget how important it is, even as a kid, to be able to do what the other kids are doing, and it's big for you. As adults, we're like, we can't have that; it's no big deal. But when you're small, it's hard on them. Everybody else is having these fun colored drinks, and he never got to do that. So coming to us, it was his first time, and to see the smile on his face and Mom's face, really.
The pressure off of Mom too.
Yeah,
like she was like, finally, like I can.
Oh, wow. I mean, to be honest, like that's kind of like a hero moment for her.
Yeah.
It reminds us that it just about what we do and why we do it. It really. It was a good moment. A really, really good moment, and that's just one of many of those situations.
Yeah.
And those people have become our friends too.
Oh, I bet.
So.
Yeah.
We've seen these kids grow up. I mean, 6 when you think
Yeah.
6 years. Yeah.
6
Yeah,
years.
we've seen a baby come in who was never able to drink, and now she's walking up with her own money ordering her drink. It's like,
Yeah, whoa.
it's pretty cool to see.
We've got a handful of questions left for you guys.
Cool.
We'll get wrapped up.
We can spitfire.
Yeah, no, you guys are great. You two obviously work very well together.
Right now.
So
Right
for
now.
now,
We're not
I mean,
doing good.
You guys are showing up for the cameras really nice. So thank you for putting on your best. So what is what is success to you right now? I know we kind of touched on some things that are important, like we touched on a lot of things that are important to you on a daily basis. But are there anything that you are measuring success by on a daily basis or a yearly basis? Like how do you know when Mike and Michelle are successful for the day when it comes to looking at things that can be measured?
So I think it's easy in this business as a food truck owner to get caught up in we had a crappy day of sales, and we've had some really bad days. We've had days where we're just like, we've been out here for 4 hours and that's all we're able to do. But we have always, and it goes back to the reason why I told such a long story of like us starting in Rio Rancho, getting one event, going to the yoga thing, getting another event, because we learned very early, and it was probably a good lesson for us to learn, is that success isn't measured in the number of sales that you receive that day, but the number of connections that have been made. And so we've found to be very true, where we might have, I can think of an event where it turned out where it was just like not the best event, but it led to like 6 caterings with the company that have been probably our number one customer to date with private caterings, and they've believed in us since day one. And it's been awesome to where we don't measure. We're long past the dollar amount measurement. It's nice, and there's metrics that obviously we have bills that need to be paid.
Sure.
We have a business that needs to continue to run. That means a lot to us, but it goes further than that. Like, what connections were made? How did you introduce yourself as a business? And, it has forever been that way. And that's, I think when I go and do a catering and say, hey, how'd you hear about us? And one comes to mind, like this electrical company has called us a few times to go out and cater. And they heard about us because his wife was passing by and stopped and got a lemonade and was like, this is so good. And she went home and bragged to her husband, who is the director of this business, who was like, well, let's have them at our company party. And then we just became part of their company party now. And it just came off of one drink, And that, if that was the one drink that we served all day, that was a success. That was a successful event.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of people get hung up like, wow, I just did X dollars, but sometimes it's just more than just X dollars.
Considering other currencies, right?
Yeah.
You have your money, but you have your relationships too, your impact, your influence, your time, your attention. I think that's an excellent example of taking positive away from situations and seeing that there's actually a lot of upside.
Yeah.
With relationships in particular,
Absolutely.
you show up and you care for even those few people that came on a bad day.
Yeah.
And that was one commitment that Michelle and I made from the very beginning, is that, and we've held pretty much true to it. There's been one or two that I can think of that we've had to cancel just because of outside, but we have always committed to, if we're going to be there, we're going to be there. And we've been very proud of that, where we have this huge big catering or this huge big event that says, hey, can you come 3 Saturdays from now? And we're like, no, we've already committed to. And maybe what we're committed to is a smaller catering, a graduation, or maybe a small 50-person gathering that we've always felt like if we've made a commitment, we're going to hold true to that commitment. And like I said, 1 or 2 times, in the course of 6 years, there's going to be some outside issues. But I think that's one thing that we felt has been to our core.
Just showing up. You commit to something and you show up.
Yeah.
You just keep showing up. And I think that's been huge for us. That's why we feel like we've been successful. We keep showing up, and our customers are very supportive of us, and they keep showing up too. And our bills are being paid, our kids are fed, and we're doing it because we love it. And that's the biggest thing too. You have to love what you do. You really do. You have to love what you do, and people will notice.
Well, and your
notice.
your commitment to like when you say yes, committing to that, I think is very interesting, because a lot of people would opt out of a smaller gig to take on a bigger one.
It is challenging.
It shows it shows your love for what you do, for one, by sticking with what you said you're going to do, but it also shows your I've lost my word. It shows that your time is is valuable, right? And people can't just get you whenever they want. That, you know, you guys have done you two have done a very good job at what you're doing, and when you say you're going to do something, you do it. And if people miss the boat, they miss the boat, right? And that's it just shows that they can't have you whenever they want, but I'm sure it keeps people driven to pursue you.
Everyone's time is valuable, especially at this day and age. I mean, things are moving so fast. People are working really hard. You know, mom and dad are both working. Kids are involved, and we realize it's a very, very fast-paced time that we are living in. So our time is valuable, but also yours is too. And we've just gotten to a place too where we've learned to respect that from each other.
That is very respectful.
Yeah.
What does success look like for you two down the road? Let's say the next 5 years.
That's so tricky. It really is tricky. I mean, success is just defined in so many different ways. Ultimately, we will go wherever the Lord tells us to go.
Yeah.
That's where we'll go, and we'll do it with a smile on our face, just like we did here. We didn't expect to be selling lemonade. If you asked me when we first met each other 20 years ago, what would we be doing for money, you know, and we would have never thought we'd be here. So it's hard to know what the future will bring, but we know for sure that we're committed to each other. We're committed to our family, and so we're together, and we're doing whatever the Lord calls us to do.
God first.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
As long as we're holding true to our values and we're not sacrificing who we are as people over business, I think that's a success story in itself. If after 10 years of being in business, and it's a very cutthroat business. I mean, food trucking is not for the faint of heart. It's very competitive. Over the last year and a half, we've seen 9 new drink vendors pop up, you know, and it's very cutthroat. And literally they are saying we were coming after Wow Wow, which is fine. You know, you run your business how you want it. But if in 10 years we're still holding true to the same values and we're still operating at the same, even if it's at the same capacity out of one truck, then that's what we were called to do, you know. Do we have other plans that we want and bigger things? Yes, but if it happens, it happens. You know, we thought we were going to be in a storefront right away, and we were quickly humbled into being tents and tables. We were there for a year and a half, and then the truck was literally something that we never even really thought of, and it really did come. You know, it was put into into place. It took us a year to get into the truck and to actually bring it to Albuquerque, and when it got here, you know, it just started flowing and it started working and just plugged itself in. So
it became successful in a way that we hadn't planned, but
it took us a year, 2 years to serve our first acai bowl in a business that we thought we were going to be acai bowl first. And so we got tens of thousands of lemonades served before we were able to even serve our one acai bowl that we thought we were going into business with.
You learn to be very flexible.
I
Very flexible,
like you said when
very
life gives you
humble.
lemons.
It really does, and it's given us a lot of lemons. But looking back at over everything, you know, it's given us a much better perspective on life, for sure, and helping us to realize that life is so short. It really is.
Yeah, that's
It's
great.
so short, and anything can change in an instant, and so things don't have to be as serious as they are, you know, and we can be that place where you can come and just have a lemonade with a smile, you know. There doesn't have to be a lot of fuss.
Yeah, it's so funny because like people are like this, and it's only happened a handful of times in 6 years where they're just like, I don't like this. Okay, well, we make you something else. Oh, really? Yeah, we'll just make you something. Like, we want you to leave happy.
Yeah.
You know, that's been we used to like have this sign and say, if you don't like it, come back, we'll make you something new. And it just became like nobody was doing that. Like, everybody was satisfied, and then all of a sudden the sign kind of got put away, but then it was like, it's just lemonade. You know, if you don't like it, we'll make you something that you do like. You just tell us what you like, and I'm sure we can find something that you do like. You know, and I think some businesses that we went to a food truck out of state, and they're just so prideful about what they were serving and so steadfast and like, no, that's it. That's what you're getting. You know, that's yours. And we were just like, okay, well, thanks. I think like I just spent $14 on this drink that I'm just not happy with. That if you put $12 in this drink that you are afraid to recoup, then, you know, maybe your business model is a little different. But, you know, we feel like we don't want to be as serious, you know, like if you don't like it, then we'll remake it for you and we'll get you something different. We want you to be happy. We want you to leave appreciating what we do, because we do put a lot of work into it. So we put a lot of pride in what we do. Our prep time is insane. Like leading up to an event, you know, when people actually see what we do, when they show up to the event, it's all smiles, it's all fun, and everybody wants to run a food truck. But when they find out how many hours go into what we do and how much work, I mean, our kegs weigh about 70 pounds each. Each batch is kegged into a 5-gallon keg that has to be loaded and unloaded. So it has to be filled, carried, and loaded into, you know, into the truck. And this is something that we do every week.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes when you're going to an event that has 18 kegs, you do 18 times 70. You've just batched 120 gallons of lemonade, filled 18 kegs, and you're carrying them to and from an event. You're not showing up to an event just slinging lemonade, you know, or putting a sugar pump into a lemonade. You're actually pureeing a fresh fruit. You're putting hours behind prepping for an event that you want to show up and be proud to be a part of. So,
I love that. All of it. Your passion really is what stands out, and your interest in taking care of people, which I think we all believe that should be at the forefront of any business, but it's not always. So to see that you two care so much about the product that you're putting out and the people that you're loving on, I think just really puts an exclamation point on the type of people you are and the family that you're raising. So,
Thank you.
And you two as a power couple.
Thank you.
It's very sweet, just like the lemonade. So we'll get wrapped up here. I do want to ask though. I want to point out before I ask this part. You mentioned earlier, you are a woman-owned minority business. I didn't say that in exactly the way that flowed. Was there a better way of saying that?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
We're locally owned and operated.
Locally owned and operated.
Locally owned and operated. Yep. And it's we're a really small little business. It's just us.
I think that gets missed a lot.
Yeah. Well, I actually want to point out, because earlier when you were talking about how you got involved with the brand, I loved hearing that, because it showed that you two didn't just pick some random thing to make money. Again, you didn't just pick something that was hot and wanted to bring it here to make money.
Yeah.
The story that's behind how you two got involved, I thought was really special. And for me, it shows that this brand, although it may be other places, it made it feel local to me. The entire brand, it made it feel at home. Let alone, you know, obviously your franchise. What do you call it, a franchise?
Yeah.
Yeah, being locally owned and operated by you two.
A really small franchise, but locally
Well,
operated by
it
us,
really
and
brought the whole thing close to home. So
we're the only store
that.
too that is operating solely out of a food truck. So we're very unique out of the maybe dozen stores between here and Hawaii.
Wow.
So we are the only one that is operating solely from a food truck, and we're proud of it. We love it.
Yeah,
You should be.
We've fought very hard to make sure that New Mexico, Albuquerque, and you know, everywhere we travel is able to, you know, receive wow. Even though it hasn't panned out for us to be in a storefront, we've still been able to keep the same quality, keep the same consistency, stay true to the wow brand. You know, it's funny, people come up to us all the time, they're like, what makes it Hawaiian? You know, are you from Hawaii? I'm not from Hawaii. You know, I'm born and raised in New Mexico. What makes it Hawaiian is the passion that we put into it and the fact that we use real fruit. That's, you know, you go to any Hawaiian market and they're literally cutting a fruit and putting it into whatever you're eating and consuming. You know, it's being prepared fresh in front of you, which we still hold true to those values. You know, the aloha spirit, like Shell talked about earlier, is very, very common around New Mexico too.
Similar.
You know, it's something that you can really relate to and see, and that's what we try to keep going as we go to event. It's funny because you can walk up to an event and maybe it's 8 o'clock at night at a Summerfest, and we've put at that point about 13 hours into the day, because I'm here at our commissary at sometimes 5 a.m. prepping for a big event, and you'll come up and you're not going to see what do you want? You're going to see, hey, what's up? How's it going? What can we get you? And we kind of have to keep that, because I learned very early in my sales career is that the last person you talk to is still the first experience that they've had being involved in your business.
Yep.
And so you have to have that same energy, that same fire, that same excitement, because that's their first time.
Yep.
That I have explained what a lava flow is probably about 25,000 times. And Michelle's probably explained it 35,000 times. But you know what? Number 35,402 is going to get the same explanation as number 1, because you're asking me because you've never heard about it. You're not asking me because you want to hear how cool I say it, or I don't say anything unique, but we have to make sure that that's something that we hold true to too. Yeah.
That's great. How can we help you out? How could community help support you two? Selfish answers are okay. I'm sure.
Well,
It's been, for us, the social media has been a byproduct of our business. We are not social media geniuses. We didn't take any classes or courses on social media. So the best way for our community to support us would be to share our stuff. It doesn't cost anything. We're not asking for your money, but share us on social media. Share
what's
us
your
with your
handle?
friends. And we have it right here on our bus here. Yep. We're on Instagram and we're on Facebook.
yeah, so Wow Wow Lemonade ABQ is how you can find us on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, so just
Yeah, it costs $0
$0
to like a post, save a post, share a post.
Yep.
Those are the 3 things that can help a business. Whether you're helping us, whether you're helping your favorite food truck, we're not in it for awards or for you to come consistently and try us. We do want that, of course. We do want you to come and try us, but at the end of the day, just a simple save, share does wonders for small businesses.
Well, we're going to encourage as many people to come check you out,
Thank
give
you.
you
Thank you.
follows, likes, and shares.
We
But
appreciate
really,
it.
at the end of the day, I think you two have a wonderful story, and I'm looking forward to where God takes you next.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
As the what'd you call it, a bus?
We call it the lemonade bus.
call it the
'cause
lemonade
As the
bus.
bus
Yeah.
rolls on, man,
Our
I'm
son,
curious to
when
see
we
where it
bought
takes
it,
you.
yeah, he saw a lemonade bus, and sometimes, I forget that people have never heard my little son. And so I'm like, hey, we can bring our bus. And they're like, aren't you a food truck? I'm like, okay.
I think that word came to mind because you said it earlier. And I was like, that doesn't sound
The lemonade
right.
bus.
That doesn't sound like how I would usually say it, but we'll call it the bus.
Yeah, no, we call it the lemonade bus. So.
Well, before we let you go, I do want to share something with you. Welcome to the club. This is for the 2 of you.
Awesome.
Oh, cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
course.
thank you for the opportunity to speak about our brand and our small business, our small family business. We really appreciate the opportunity.
It was our pleasure, and very grateful to have you on.
Thank you.
For having us here in a different setup than we
this
had
was fun.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I look forward to doing some more collaboration down the road. And again,
Absolutely.
welcome
Thank
to the club.
you. Yay. Thank you so much.
All right, well, that wraps us up for the 15th episode of Find Your Success. Like, share, subscribe, do things. We'll see you next time.